It has no value. I'm good. These accusations are wholly without merit. The business has no knowledge of any misconduct. I adore you. We have spent much of our history developing methods to identify lies, from medieval torture devices to polygraphs, blood pressure and breathing monitors, voice stress analyzers, eye trackers, infrared brain scanners, and even the 400-pound electroencephalogram. We hear anywhere between 10 and 200 lies a day. Even though some of these tools have been successful in particular situations, none are thought to be trustworthy enough to be admitted into evidence in court. But what if the fundamental presumption that lying causes physiological changes, rather than the techniques, is the problem? What if we used communication science to examine the lies themselves as a more direct strategy? Psychologically, we lie in part to give ourselves a more favorable impression by associating our fantasies with the person we wish we were rather than the person we actually are. But a lot of messages are being missed by our brain while it is dreaming. Stories based on imagined events are qualitatively distinct from those based on real experiences, according to the literature on reality monitoring. Our conscious mind only controls around 5% of our cognitive activity, including communication, while the other 95% occurs outside of our consciousness. This shows that fabricating a story about something personal requires effort and yields a different linguistic pattern. 4 of these typical patterns in the subconscious language of deception have been discovered thanks to a technology called linguistic text analysis. First, when making false statements, liars tend to refer to themselves less. They often utilize the third person to separate themselves from their lie and make it appear more untrue when they write or speak more about other people, saying things like, "Absolutely no party took place at this house," or "I didn't host a party here." Second, because people feel bad about lying on a subconscious level, liars typically have more negative attitudes. An example of what a liar can say is, "I apologize, my phone's battery died. That thing is awful." Third, since our brains find it difficult to construct a complicated deception, liars often describe events in layman's terms. Our brains must make sophisticated calculations in order to perform judgment and appraisal. The famous words of a former president of the United States were, "I did not have sexual intercourse with that woman." Finally, even though they keep their descriptions straightforward, liars often pad their lies with lengthier, more complicated sentences that contain extra words and extraneous, but factual-sounding elements. I can say unequivocally that this inquiry suggests that no one on the White House staff, no one in this administration currently employed was involved in this extremely unusual episode, declared another president facing a controversy. Let's examine some well-known examples using language analysis. Consider Lance Armstrong, a 7-time Tour de France champion. His usage of personal pronouns grew by approximately March 4 between a 2005 interview in which he denied using performance-enhancing drugs and a 2013 interview in which he acknowledged doing so. Take note of how the next 2 quotes differ from one another. First, "Okay, so Jean-Francis so-and-so, a man in a Parisian laboratory, opens your sample and tests it. You then receive a call from a newspaper saying, 'We discovered you to test positive for EPO 6 times. Second, through it all, I became lost. Even though I was used to having complete control over my life, I'm sure there would be some people who couldn't take it. Every result in my life was in my hands.'" In his denial, Armstrong outlined a hypothetical scenario that was solely centered on someone else and excluded him from the circumstance. He takes responsibility for his words in his admission, revealing his innermost feelings and motives. However, using personal pronouns is only one sign of deceit. Here's another illustration from John Edwards, a former senator and candidate for President of the United States. "I just know that the baby's alleged father has publicly claimed to be the child's father. Additionally, I have not participated in any activities of any sort that would have required, approved, or supported payments of any kind to the woman or the baby's presumed father." The fact that Edwards never refers to the other parties by name, instead using the pronouns, the baby, the woman, and the apparent father, makes it much more difficult to claim, "The baby isn't mine." Let's see what he said when he eventually acknowledged paternity. "I'm Quinn's dad. I'll do everything in my ability to show her the support and love she needs." The sentence is succinct and forthright, emphasizing the child's place in her life and addressing him by name. How can you use these lie-spotting strategies in your daily life, then? First, keep in mind that many of the lies we hear every day are much less harmful than these examples, and some may even be innocent. However, it's still important to be alert to telltale signs like sparse self-references, derogatory language, straightforward explanations, and complicated wording. It might even assist you in avoiding a bad relationship, an inefficient product, or an overpriced stock.